Yeah. So we'll go ahead and get started. Call the meeting to order. There are agendas located on the table outside of the meeting room, if anybody wants one. This is a public meeting for which public notice has been provided. The proceedings are being broadcast and recorded and can be viewed online on the City of Casper's YouTube channel. First, I'd like to read some informational statements about the meeting. Use of cellular phones is not permitted, and such telephones shall be turned off or otherwise silenced during the Planning and Zoning meeting. When speaking to the Planning and Zoning Commission, please clearly state your name and address. Keep your remarks pertinent to the issue being considered by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Do not repeat the same statements that were made by a previous speaker. Speak to the Planning and Zoning Commission as you would like to be spoken to. Do not address applicants or other audience members directly. Make your comments at the podium and directed to the chairperson of the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'd like to remind everyone present that the City of Casper Planning and Zoning Commission is a volunteer body composed of members of the Casper community appointed by the Casper City Council. The Commission acts as a quasi-judicial panel, making final decisions on some items and recommendations to City Council on others, as dictated by law. The Commission may only consider evidence about any case as it relates to existing law. The Commission cannot make or change planning or zoning laws, regulations, policies, or guidelines. Looks like we are only down one commissioner this evening, Commissioner Eskew. We will excuse Commissioner Eskew as he had other things come up at the last minute. So, next item on the agenda is consideration of the minutes from the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting held November 14th, 2024. Are there any additions or corrections?
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve it.
All right. We have a motion to approve the minutes by Commissioner Wingeter. Do we have a second? Thank you. Very good. We have a second. Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion? There being no further discussion, we will now vote. Please record the vote as soon as Ann hits her button. It's
Okay.
Haven't been in this room yet. There you go.
With all members voting aye, motion passes.
All righty, thank you. Next will be the scheduled public hearings. Before we get started, just a reminder to all of this evening's applicants that it takes 4 affirmative votes to pass any item, regardless of the number of commissioners present. If any applicants would like to postpone their case in anticipation of the possibility of more commissioners being present next month, then I would ask you to speak up when your case is announced. Case number 1. First case tonight will be ANX-722-2024, SUB-723-2024, and ZOC 721-2024, concerning a request for annexation, plat, and zoning to create the Patton Addition subdivision located at 4875 South Valley Road, comprising 3.04 acres and creating a single lot to be zoned R1 residential estate. The applicants are Sean and Lily Patton. Is the applicant and or their representative present, and do you wish to proceed with this? Okay. Can we please get staff's report at this time?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can everybody hear me okay? Application has been made for annexation, plat, and zoning to create the Patton Addition subdivision located at 4875 South Valley Road. The proposed subdivision consists of a single 3.04 acre lot accessed via South Valley Road. The applicants have requested city utilities, which triggers the requirement to annex if the property is contiguous with the city limits. The subject property is directly adjacent to the city limits on both its east and west sides. Properties located to the north and south of the subject property are situated in the county and are therefore still under Natrona County zoning regulations. Staff has included 2 recommended conditions of approval associated with the plat. First condition requires the owners of the Patton Addition to participate in a proportionate share of the cost of constructing South Valley Road to city standards in the future. The second recommended condition requires the owners to enter into a standard water and sewer agreement with the city prior to final approval of the annexation plat and zoning by the city council. Surrounding zoning classifications are Natrona County to the north and south, as was already mentioned. East is R1 residential estate and west is PUD planned unit development. Section 1712-170 of the municipal code requires that staff provide a report to the commission as to any zoning request conformance with the comprehensive land use plan. The 2017 Generation Casper Comprehensive Plan provides a future land use plan, which is found in Chapter 4 on page 4-26. The future land use plan is a illustrative map that identifies the physical distribution of land uses and forms the basis for future zoning and land use regulations. The map designates the future use of the subject property as Neighborhood 1, and Neighborhood 1 is described in the plan as the lowest density residential classification, typically located on the fringe of the community adjacent to open space areas. Primary uses within a Neighborhood 1 are single-family homes, large lot residential development, and other associated uses. The proposed R1 zoning is therefore consistent with the long-range plan for the area. There were no public comments on these cases. As I mentioned, there's 2 recommended conditions associated with the plat, and I have 7 exhibits. A is the application for annexation. B, application for the plat. C, application for the zone change. D, public notice sent to property owners within 300 feet. E, legal notice sent to the structure beam. F, photo of the public notice sign on the property. And G, memo to the chairperson and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. That concludes our report, and I would ask that you guys please vote on each case separately, starting with the annexation.
Okay. Thank you for the report. Exhibits are noted. Does anybody on the commission have any preliminary questions for staff about the report? Yes, sir.
Craig, you and I talked late last week about the need for a water and sewer agreement prior to the execution of this subdivision annexation. I don't quite understand the need for that if they're being brought into the city.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I wasn't involved in making the condition, but my assumption would be that we don't know if the annexation is going to pass or not. Usually they do, but it's not a guaranteed thing. So if they are trying to get water beforehand, and it seems like it's a pretty good idea to get an agreement in place to do it.
Okay. Good question. Any other questions? All right. Next, I would ask that the applicant and or their authorized representative come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and explain your application to the commission.
Sean Patton, 1309 South Mitchell, here in Casper.
Lily Patton, same, 1309 South Mitchell.
Okay, anybody have any questions for him? Oh, there.
From what I understand and what I've read, it's just you want to build a residence on a new residence in the area, a new house.
Oh,
Is that your plan?
we've built a shop for now, and in the future, we'd like to build a residence.
Okay, that's all I
Nothing
Thank you.
right away.
All righty. Anybody else have any questions? No. All right. Thank you. Do you guys understand and agree with the conditions with the road and the
Yes.
water and sewer? Okay. All righty. Thank you for your time. Thanks for
Yeah,
coming.
thank you.
All right. Now is the time when we ask for members of the audience to come forward in either support or in opposition to this case. Please remember to state your name and address clearly into the microphone for the record. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor or against this? All right. Seeing nobody wishing to speak with regard to this case, Chair hereby closes the public comment portion of the public hearing. The annexation, plat, and zoning will all be voted on separately. The annexation will be considered first. The chair calls for a motion to approve with conditions, deny, table, or postpone to a date certain, case ANX-722-2024.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the annexation ANX 722-2024
With conditions?
with the conditions, of course, the two conditions.
Thank you. So moved by Commissioner Wengeder and seconded by Commissioner Rubel. Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to clarify the conditions are actually associated with the plat
Okay,
instead of the annexation.
all right, strike that with condition, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Any discussions? Okay. Being no further discussions, we will now vote. Are there any abstentions or nay votes? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all members voting A, motion carries.
Thank you. Next plat will be considered. The chair calls for a motion to approve with conditions, deny, table, or postpone to a date certain, case SUB 723-2024.
Chairman, motion to approve SUB 723-2024.
Have a motion from Joe. Do we have a second? Commissioner Rubel.
Mr. Chairman, that's with the two conditions listed. Thank you.
Thank you. Keep us in line here. Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Okay, being no further discussion, we'll now vote. Any abstentions or nay votes? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all members voting A, motion passes.
All right, thank you. Finally, we will consider the zoning. Chair calls for a motion to approve, deny, table, or postpone to a date certain, case ZOC 721-2024. Commissioner Rubel, we have
I'll second.
a second by Commissioner Wengeder. Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Okay, being no further discussion, we'll now vote. Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all members voting A, the motion carries.
All right, thank you. So your application for annexation, plat, and zoning has been approved and is being forwarded to City Council with a due pass recommendation from the Commission. Staff will be in touch with you shortly to execute a subdivision agreement prior to consideration of these cases by Council. Anything to add? Okay, thank you, folks. Case number 2. Second public hearing tonight will be for consideration of case SUB 724-2024 concerning a request for a replat of the Fort Casper Academy Edition to create the Fort Casper Academy Edition number 2 located at the northeast intersection of Wyoming Boulevard and Alcova Casper Road and comprising 8.945 acres more or less. The applicant is Natrona County School District number 1. Is the applicant or their representative present, and do you wish to proceed? All right. Can we please get staff's report at this time?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Natrona County School District number 1 has submitted an application for plat approval to create the Fort Casper Academy Edition number 2, located at the northeast intersection of Wyoming Boulevard and Alcova Casper Road. The subject property encompasses 8.945 acres more or less, and the property is zoned ED Educational District. The school district plans to utilize the property as a driver's education course. During the pre-application planning, the school district met with both the city and YDOT personnel, and it was determined that a turn lane would be constructed on Wyoming Boulevard for the entrance to the site. Inadequate right-of-way exists to construct the proposed turn lane. Therefore, the purpose of the plat is to dedicate the additional right-of-way necessary. Staff has included one recommended condition of approval that will require the owner to participate financially in the construction of the adjacent streets, Midway Drive and Alcova Casper Road, at such time that they are upgraded to city standards in the future. We did not receive any public comments. As stated, I have one recommended condition of approval and I have 5 exhibits. A is the application for a plat. B, public notice sent to the property owners within 300 feet. C, legal notice sent to the Star Tribune. D, photo of the public notice sign on the property. And E, memo to the chairperson, members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. That concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you for the report, and exhibits are noted. Does anybody on the commission have any preliminary questions for staff about the report?
Yes, I have one.
Okay, Commissioner Wenger?
This lot's been sitting there empty. If I remember right, this lot was originally purchased from the school district to put a junior high on years ago, but then they changed up all their plans. What I was wondering, I saw in here, but I read about it. They're going to use it for buses.
Driver's ed.
Mr. Chairman, driver's ed training.
Oh, okay.
I believe right now the driver's training course is up by the event center.
Yeah, it is.
I believe they're moving it down here.
They might move them. Have they ever thought about a turning lane there or anything? There's a lot of traffic.
That's one of the conditions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the conditions.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry, I skipped that. Okay.
It's all right. We got you,
Well,
Terry.
you're smart, you came up with that.
Anything else from commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question on the plat. I'm not sure if that's relevant to the
My question is on the dedication of Tract A to YDOT and the public. I think that should also be included on under the certificate of dedication on the plat itself. And I think, Craig, you mentioned that YDOT actually wants a quick claim deed to that tract as well, but I think at a minimum, it should also be included under the certificate of dedication on the plat.
Mr. Chairman, I would agree with that. This is not the most recent version of the plat. The applicant is not able to address all the most recent comments in time for the meeting, but that I believe is covered under our most recent list of comments.
That's why I like having Andrew on here. Yeah. All right. So next, I would ask that the applicant or their authorized representative come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and explain your application to the commission.
Evening, Carter Britt. Address is 152 North Durban Street, Suite 440. I work for Morrison Merrily on behalf of the owner, the school district. Willing to take any questions?
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Carter?
Good to see you as well, Mr. Beamer. It's been too long.
I'm excited that they're going to be using that property finally. It's good to see something going in there, so I think that'll be great.
Yep. I guess I would maybe clarify the discussion about the turn lane. That may not be a portion of the initial project, but that is a goal of the project in some fashion, maybe at a later date. But at any regard, I mean, the right-of-way dedication would be necessary eventually. So we're just trying to get ahead of the district accumulating the funds to make that part of the project constructed.
Okay, thank you. You understand and agree with the recommendation, the recommended conditions of approval?
Yes.
All righty. Thank you, sir. Any other questions?
Trying to make this a short answer. So there's actually 3 curb cuts onto Southwest Wyoming Boulevard. Two of them on the more northern and more southern portions of the site are pretty overgrown and not utilized. The main existing curb cut, kind of where Craig has the cursor, That's going to be reconstructed and it'll remain in the same spot. There is an existing access from Alcova, Casper Road. The intent is to not make that a main access to this parcel, and actually fencing will make it so that if somebody enters from that access, they actually can't enter the site as the driver course. So that approach will remain in its existing condition. There's no intent to update that. Correct. No, there is no approach from Midway.
So the only approach.
The intent of the final design is to have one approach from Southwest Wyoming Boulevard. It'll just be a reconstructed approach at the existing location there.
Anybody else?
Going to be chain link fence up to the highway, or is there going to be sidewalks, or?
So some of the existing, the site's fenced currently. Most of the fencing is in pretty rough shape. So the intent is to fence for security, the driver training course. The remainder of the site's actually used for parking during like Fair Week and other events as like an overflow parking lot. The school district intends to allow that use to continue. There's an agreement with the county in that regard and the state. And so they also use it for storage for snow in the winter months. So that use will still continue on the undeveloped portion of the site to the south. And then the driver training course, the portion that's actually utilized by the school district, will actually be fenced. That would just be galvanized chain link standard fence.
So the whole thing won't be developed, just a portion.
That's correct. The parcel is nearly 9 acres, and total development area for the driver training course, a future building, the access is less than 2 acres. And it's all consolidated on the northern portion of the site.
Part of this question was my question too.
Not a part of this project. There's not sidewalk on the north or southern portion. And that was not something that was discussed with the city or with YDOT during the preliminary planning of this project.
Anybody else? Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks.
Now it's time when we ask for members of the audience to come forward and either support or opposition to this case. And it doesn't look like we have any audience members to come up, so. Saying nobody to speak in regard to this case, chair hereby closes the public comment portion of the public hearing and calls for a motion to approve, deny, table, or postpone to a date certain, case SUB 724-2024.
We approved on the other side of my own boulevard. You guys require sidewalk. I don't require sidewalk. Seems like the ranking.
Mr. Chairman, that's a great question, and we always want to make every development pedestrian friendly. I would say at this point it's probably premature because we haven't really looked at design yet. So at this point we're just carving out that little piece of right of way. So I would also note that the municipal code requires sidewalks along all parcels in the city, and it's already a requirement of the code, and the adjacent property owner by state law is required to do that. So even though we're not talking about it, when the time comes, they're definitely on the hook for that.
It's just not part of this particular thing going on. Okay. Do we have a motion? So moved. Commissioner Plotick. And second by Commissioner Rubel. Having a motion and a second, is there any more discussion? All right. Being no further discussions, we will now vote. Please count the vote.
With
Record
all
the vote.
members voting A, the motion carries.
All right. So your application for final plat has been approved. The plat is being forwarded to the city council with a due pass recommendation from this commission. Staff will be in touch with you shortly to execute a subdivision agreement prior to consideration of the plat by the council. Anything to add? All right. Thank you, sir. That moves us to special issues. Well, looky there, Terry, you and I are special. We will now recognize our outgoing commissioners, Terry Wingeter and Michael McIntosh. The chair calls for the Community Development Director to approach the podium for acknowledgements.
Liz intended to be here tonight and she was not feeling well, so I'm sure she apologizes, but I'll try to handle it as best I can. So it's always bittersweet when we lose planning commissioners. I looked at the time that you guys have put in. I believe Terry's got 6 years in, and I think Mike has 4, if I'm correct. You're actually leaving a couple years before the end of your term, but moving on to bigger and better things. So,
Yes.
but we're going to miss both of you. So I do have a letter and a token of our appreciation to present you both with that I'll read here. And this is from Stephen Cathy, the mayor. On behalf of the city council and staff, I would like to extend our deepest appreciation for your service to the city as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Your willingness to serve and the unselfish manner in which you have given of your time has created a debt that the city will be unable to repay. It is the interest and attitude of citizens like you that in large measure have made Casper a wonderful city in which to live. I hope your interest and involvement will remain active so that we can all benefit from your experience. So thank you both.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to just say a word or two here. I started in this room in 1983, believe it or not. You know, I was on the city council for 8 years. And one young girl came up to me and said, you know, I'd like to help you in my campaign. And that girl is working with the city today, Liz Becker. I don't know how that ever happened, but she delivered brochures all over town, or in my ward for me, Liz Becker. And
That's
that
awesome.
was the night I was looking at, in those days, if he was a county commissioner, I don't know if they, or a city councilman, I don't know if they still do that or not, but they used to buy all the city council people, or councilors as you call them now, a billfold with a little badge that says city council. Well, I looked at my first one. I have about 6 of them, including ones from the county commissioner. So the first one I had said 1983. So that's the first time. And so I think I was sitting over there in 83. But anyway, I had a good time. You know, there's an old saying, some of my friends are for it and some of my friends are against it. And I'm all for my friends. But I mean, my term, you know, we did some zoning and subdivisions, the sports ranch. That's going to be a big deal. It is a big deal now. And we several apartment houses, jump craze, several subdivisions. I'm sure there's more. Those are just ones I wrote down real fast tonight, but it's been a learning experience. And when I was a city councilman, I was a liaison to the city council, like Commissioner Mike is now. I forget Mike's last name. You know, but anyway, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you for serving, Terry. It's been fun serving with you.
Well, I'm sure. I'm sure it's not right.
Yes. And thank you. I've enjoyed being on planning and zoning, even if I have been in this seat for the last 2 years.
And congratulations to you.
Thank you. I will be moving on
Mr.
to
Counselor,
city council and vice mayor for next
Vice
year.
Mayor.
I will continue to be busy with the city, so looking forward to serving in that position. All right. The chair calls for any communications from commission. Anybody got anything going on?
Good question. We did advertise and for the 2 openings, and we received 2 qualified applicants. So we felt that the interviews were unnecessary. So we just, we're sending that to council for their consideration on the 17th. And Dan Elston, who is our former building official, is one of them. And the other one's name is Laura Hunter from, I believe, Art 321.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Any communications from Community Development Director or the City Planner? Nothing further? All right. Council liaison's not here. I probably will become the council liaison, so I'll still come bug you guys. I might bring cookies. Who knows? Chair calls for communications from the Historic Preservation Commission liaison and or the Old Yellowstone District liaison. Drew?
Mr. Chairman, I can report briefly on the OYD. Not a lot to report, actually. I know the OYD committee was tasked with cleaning up after the Christmas parade last Saturday. I was not able to make that event. Terry was, however.
Terry was.
I'm sure, I know I heard, I think I heard him say he had a good time.
It was really fun. It was interesting to see how quick the city gets up and moving when it comes to cleaning up after the parade.
The term fun has different meanings for different people.
Yes.
And I know Midwest was still closed at our last meeting. I know it's now open to traffic. I think they still have some electrical work, and plantings now can't take place until next spring, and the street striping and so forth when weather allows. And I think there's apparently a downtown pub crawl and caroling event scheduled for tomorrow night, but currently scheduled, but I'm not involved. That's all I had to report.
All right. Thanks, sir. I did not make it to the Historic Preservation Commission. I know they were still selling, I don't know how they did on their ornament sales. Did we sell out?
Last I heard, Mr. Chairman, they ordered 500 and they had sold about 150 so far. So they're looking to sell about 350 more.
Wasn't quite as popular as the NCHS one.
No.
That one disappeared quick.
Just for everybody's information also, the Historic Preservation Commission has been under community development for about the last 5-6 years, I would guess. However, this month recently transitioned over to Parks and Rec. So that is no longer our effort. So you guys are of course still invited and still want you to participate, but we're no longer going to be part of that.
Oh, good to know. Thank you, sir. Any other communications from anybody? Wallace?
I have one question. I can't leave without asking one question. You brought up the sidewalks, and there's been many occasions when we made adjustments and said, when we're ready or the city's ready, you will build sidewalks. What would happen if a particular developer agreed with that? And then, but by the time the city gets around and asking for sidewalks, that developer settles and moves on and sells their property. Does that agreement go with the property?
That's a good question. Every developer has the option when they develop a site, they can build the sidewalk right up front if they like, and possibly that makes sense, even though it doesn't connect with anything, because you don't know in the future what that sidewalk might cost. So it might be cheaper to do it now as part of your construction. But we do put that into the site plan agreement, and that agreement gets recorded on the property, and it applies to all subsequent landowners. It's kind of like a deed restriction, if you will, that they're all bound to abide by all those conditions. So when it makes sense, a lot of times we don't ask for sidewalks when there's nothing to connect it to, and we want to kind of coordinate multiple property owners. Yeah. So we put that, we put them on notice, and we put that in the agreement, just so that all the property owners in the future kind of have notice of that. But we don't force them to do it right away until it makes sense.
Is there any news on when the city might ban from 15th and on the road with that?
I know that we had applied for grants. However, I don't believe we applied this year for that. I think we applied for the Robinson Road Bridge this year instead of that. So no, we don't have an ETA on when that's going to get built. We were hoping, I think last year, I think when you were still here, Andrew, that we applied for $10 million.
Craig, it was two different applications, one going from, I think, 21st Street up towards Poplar, and the next phase from Poplar on down to CY, I think. But it was an expensive, and I think they were both rejected by the Highway Commission or the TAP grant people.
We were successful this year though with the Robinson Road Bridge. That's going to connect Paradise Valley with the River West, so it'll be a nice addition.
Cool. All right. And the final item on the agenda this evening is adjournment. The next meeting of Planning and Zoning Commission is currently scheduled for Thursday, January 9th. And you all have
So
an
moved.
invite for an after thing here. Make sure you RSVP. So
Move for adjournment.
Terry moves we adjourn. Any second. I will second that. Absolutely.
With all
Cast your
members voting A, motion carries.
All right. Andrew wants to stay here by himself. Meeting is adjourned at 6:36 PM. Thank you all. Thank you.
Good.